Good morning, UnilsonFloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. This morning, my guest is Donato Grosser, a ceramic tile and flooring consultant. Donato, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
It's been a little while since we've caught up. I know you're living up in the New York area, staying busy, continuing to track the numbers, and you've just shared with us the import numbers for the ceramic industry. For the month of May, the Italians jumped to first place in ceramic tile imports on a unit basis with 3.4 million square meters. Then that's followed by Spain at 2.9, and then Mexico and India and Turkey and Brazil on down. But if you look at January to May, year to date, imports were down 4.4% overall, but Italy was up 7%, and Spain was down 5.8, right?
Yeah, if the numbers are correct, because sometimes statistics published by the Department of Commerce, they have glitches sometimes, but if the numbers are correct, this is very strange. The Spanish has been in first place until now, and it looks like their exports are going down now, and that's very strange. One explanation that I have is if you're looking at landed cost, so in the period January, May, the FOB cost, the franc on board, or franc ex-factory cost of the Spanish is $12.33 per square meter, and the landed cost is $18.03. Landed costs include the shipping, the duty, and insurance. It is incredible. You have to add another $5.70 to $12.33, which is 46% of the cost of the product. That may explain the fact that the cost of the product has become very expensive for importers, because when you pay for the product itself, you can get 3, 4, 5, 6 month term of payment, but you have to pay the duty and the shipping right away. So that becomes a very substantial financial burden for the importer.
So at least in the short term, the Italians are taking market share from the Spanish. One of the things I also want to point out is the Italian price per meter is 23.86, and Spain is 18.03.
Landed, yes, it's true. The prices of the Italians have always been higher, in part because they have products, they have more technology. All the gauge not done any more tiles, panels, that are more expensive. And when you have more technology, the product costs more. But it is a product that is in demand because it goes to commercial installation, industrial, and also some residential.
Yeah, that's another point I wanted to make, is that if you look at the U.S. market right now and which sectors are growing and which ones are flattening out, it's the commercial sector that's the growth sector, and I think that's where much of the Italian tile goes. That may be another factor. You were telling me prior to this interview, these are the May numbers, which you say were 17.9 million square meters, and that June and July are actually the best months. So it's looking like demand for imported tile is still very strong, right?
Yes, and we had to wait and see what happens in imports in June, July. Another consideration is that maybe here seasonal shipping problems, because maybe the month of April might have been a problem in the month of April, that everything was down, and as far as imports, and what did not arrive in April arrived in May. That may have changed the numbers. Another thing that is important to take into consideration in looking at imports, that you are surprised to see that prices, even they didn't increase so much, in part because the dollar became so strong that now it is at parity with the euro, 1-to-1, while exactly 1 year ago you needed $1.17 to buy a euro. So imports have become cheaper because the dollar is so strong. So the increase in price in Europe has been compensated in part or ameliorated by the fact that the dollar is so expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, two big factors on the inflation too. I mean, this has been something we've been watching for a while. One of them is the price of natural gas. Over in Europe, on a regular year, natural gas, the cost is around 10 million euros, and this year it's going to be 50 million euros. I mean, that's just in the ceramic industry. They're paying 5x for.
It's incredible what has happened, because the kiln where ceramic tile manufacturers use natural gas. For a while, some companies stopped producing because the prices shot up so much they didn't pay to manufacture any product with that kind of price. But now I think that in the meantime there has been some arrangements within the countries in Europe, and there was last month Italian Prime Minister Draghi also traveled to Israel, where they have substantial amount of gas offshore, and they made an agreement to transfer the gas by pipeline from the state of Israel to Egypt and from Egypt to Italy, so that Italy is very diversifying the sources of natural gas from Russia.
That's doing the right thing too, because nobody wants to buy fuel from a country that's attacking their neighbor. I know at the last ceramic meeting I went to, the Italians were talking about being very conscious about that. There's one other factor on the inflation too. They've had to go and resource the clay. 25% of the clays that they use in Sassuolo, which is the headquarters of Italian ceramic tile, 25% of that used to come out of Ukraine, and they're now getting it out of Turkey, but they're having to pay 40% more for the clay. So that's another inflationary issue.
Yeah, very important issue. Yes, all the supplies are very important. That's why all the costs went up, and the fact that the dollar became stronger, is really helping.
It's actually good to hear that even though the tile is more expensive, we're continuing to buy it, right?
Yeah, it's very good. This country there's still a lot of construction, a lot of activity, and despite the fact that we are talking here about the coming recession, so far certain sectors are still going very well.
Yeah, this coming recession thing, it may be Main Street media, may not be a reality. There's too many people working. I mean, there's a lot of the employment numbers are very strong in this country.
Yeah.
All right, Donato, it's good to talk to you. Thanks for spending time with our listeners. Again, been talking to Donato Grosser, a ceramic tile consultant based in New York, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr and Florida.net.